Coming up on Atto 3 Adventures, 5 things I love about the BYD Atto 3. Welcome back everyone, this is episode 49 and 5 things I love about my Atto 3. So if you've seen my reviews, you might have a guess at what some of them will be, but without any further ado, let's get straight into it. So we're going to start off with number 1, and that is the build quality of the car. Now, it was one of the reasons why I actually took the car for a test drive. My wife and I saw one of the cars in a shopping centre display, and we were extremely impressed by the quality of the material. So it's very solid, and you can see some footage here of me just checking out the interior of some of the car. And yeah, we sat in it and we were just amazed at how much the quality had moved on. It's moved on in leaps and bounds in the last 10 years. So it's now sort of rivaling Japanese and Korean cars who went through their own sort of revolution in Australia in the 70s and 80s for the Japanese car, and then in the 80s and 90s for Korean cars. And you know, the Chinese cars are doing exactly the same thing now, and the build quality, like I said, is pretty good. So if that is a reason why you're haven't had a look at a BYD yet, please, I would say, go and have a look at it. You will be very impressed by the quality of it. So yeah, the Atto in particular is a very solid car and has a nice satisfying clunk when you close the doors. And I did film some of the engine bay here so you can have a look at it. So one thing I noticed with the engine bay was everything is set out quite meticulously and very solidly put together, and it does sort of remind me of the checks and balances that some of the Japanese companies do when they build cars. So obviously the Chinese have learned a lot, and they've put it all to practice by putting together their cars in such a way that the engineering and so on, and the materials and the tests that they do are now top notch. So yes, definitely build quality very good from BYD Atto 3. Okay, moving on to number 2, the styling and the looks of the car. Okay, so this might be controversial, but I certainly do like the styling and what they've done with the Atto 3 in particular. So I do really love these sort of scales which are on the back of it there, the aluminium or chrome, whatever they use there, where the scales are dragon scales, apparently they're supposed to be. I know some people don't like them for some reason, but I love them. And I do love the light bar here at the back. You'll see later on I'll show some of the lighting of the car, but absolutely love the light bar in the rear of the car. They're those scales again, which I think look fabulous. So they've done a really very good job. Again, the materials they've chosen, I think they've blended it quite nicely. Personally, I would have had the roof line just up a tad. I think it slopes down a bit at the back, but a lot of cars seem to be doing that now for aerodynamic ability. Anyway, you can see here some of the clean line. I just washed my car actually before I filmed some of this, so it's come up quite nicely now that I washed it. Again, I love the badging and stuff. A lot of people are blacking them out. I don't know why. I don't know if they're embarrassed to own a BYD, but I certainly got no issues regarding that. Yes, I really love the styling, especially the rear of the car there. So yeah, styling very good on the BYD Atto 3 in my opinion. Now moving on to number 3, the ground clearance and hip point. Well, if you watched my review recently, my 3-month review, I did talk a little bit about the ground clearance, and in particular how I like the hip point being slightly higher than say a sedan or some of those lower slung cars. So it's very easy to get in and out of. But in this episode I'm going to focus more on the practicality of the ground clearance, not so much the hip point, but it's got some useful ability. So a lot of electric cars are very low to the ground, and again obviously that's for aerodynamic reasons, to get better economy. But a ground clearance from a slightly higher car, 175 mils in particular on this car, very useful. Now it's by no means an off-road vehicle, but I'm just showing here in the video just some of the things, you know, it just gives you that little bit of security having that extra height off the ground, and very useful. And that's the whole point for me, is the practicality of having just that little bit extra where you don't have to worry about scraping. So yeah, going down the gravel road, just that little bit of extra security with that great little ground clearance you've got. Okay, number 4, the lighting, both the interior and exterior lights. Let's have a listen to what I had to say about that. Right, so the light bar here at the rear, I really love the back end of the car. I've already mentioned that on previous videos, the styling I really like, but I really love the way that the light goes across there, and I just think it looks really nice with the lights there. And if we go to the front of the car, on a lot of modern cars, I don't think the lights are particularly good, but on these cars, well, they don't only look good, but I'll put some footage up of me driving at night and you'll see that the beam throws out quite a long way, so the high beam is actually quite good on it. So I really like the fact that the lights seem to be a very good height. They've used a good globe in it, and the way it throws the light onto the road is very good, I think. And here's some footage from one of my previous videos when I did some driving back at night time. This is the road between Kalgoorlie and Perth. I think it's around near Merredin, which is, you know, roughly halfway between Kalgoorlie and Perth. So I think it's actually quite well set up. So a lot of modern cars, I think, you often need to add spotlights or a light bar, I think, to really have a good, you know, good vision. But I think with this car in particular, they seem to have nailed the height really well, and I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to go in and check the settings, but I believe you may be able to adjust that. But I'm certainly very happy with it, as you know, as far as the high beam goes. I think it's great. They've done a really fantastic job with the way that the light plays onto the road and so on. But yeah, now if we go into the interior, it's another way in which this car really shines. So you can see the mood lighting around. So I've got it on blue, and you can see it's on the side of the doors there, as well as the actual door handles and underneath the screen here. So looks very nice, and also the way it illuminates the little micro switches, and even these switches look nicely illuminated. Now just bear with me and I'll show you how to change it. So if you go to, I think it's vehicle settings, and then you go to, so vehicle settings is on the right hand side there, and then lights, and then you'll see there's this little coloured bar here, and it's just simply a matter of moving it across, and then voila, the lights will actually change. So, you know, if you wanted to have more of a red colour, you could, or a lighter blue. I've sort of gone for sort of like a dark blue with mine. I quite like that sort of colour for my one. And you can have that at a different level, I believe. I've never changed that, but I don't know what difference that makes. Let's have a look. Okay, so it's just affecting the brightness of it, making it a bit more intense. There's something called dynamic colour. There you go, that's flashing on and off. Tropical setting, whatever that is. It's not something I really like. I just like this. For me, subtle is better. So just having the mood lighting on is nice. So yeah, you know, the lighting on it, I really like it. I think they've done a great job. And you can also adjust things like the headlights as well. So I was right, so you can go into the menu there and you can adjust the headlights up or down, so that will help you to get the right height to where you need to throw the headlights. Now let's go outside and I'll just show you something else. Now, when you go to unlock the car for the first time, you have these little puddle lights which come on, which illuminate the ground there on the floor. So it's good at night time, you know, especially if you do park somewhere and, you know, there might be water or something you have to be careful of when you get out of the car. So that's where you have that helping you out. So yeah, there you go, that's the mood lighting. And also I should mention these LED lights up here I quite like as well, which it's just a matter of touching it and they come on and off. So they're quite nice too. You can see they're quite bright, and geez, gone are the days when we had those crappy little bulb lamps. I can remember as a teenager, sometimes they would burn out and you'd have to pull the cover off and try to change it, and geez, we've moved a long way in a few decades, and well, LED lights are just vastly superior and they don't use much energy and they virtually never fail. So yeah, so you can definitely do so much more these days with the LED lights, and you know, failure is extremely uncommon with them. So yeah, I think the lighting setup is exceptional on the BYD Atto 3. Really love it. Alright, that brings us to the last one, number 5 of things I love, and that is the Binnacle. Let's have a look. Okay, so here's the Binnacle. So yes, the Binnacle is, you know, it's not huge, and certainly the text is a little on the small side, but you've got a lot of useful information on there. Certainly the speedometer, of course, I think is better here than in the center of the screen. The temperature is always nice to know outside. The time, of course, if you want to do appointments, and you know, just things like what sort of mode it's in and things like that. So yeah, just the percentage for the battery I think is a little bit small. You'd think that was one of the most important things there is, and it's a tiny little text there. So yeah, that's probably could be a little bit bigger, but you know, you should know how much percentage you've got in your car at all times, obviously, because that's the most important thing, whether you're driving a petrol car or an EV. So yeah, the Binnacle, really love that they're doing a Binnacle, and I think cars, modern cars which have a Binnacle or a very detailed heads-up display or just a traditional dashboard would be my preferred choice of a car. I don't think everything should be done through the center screen. You know, I know people get used to it and so on, but really I think anything you can do to keep your eyes sort of more centered and less movement, I think is safer for everyone on the road. Safer for you, safer for other drivers, and a Binnacle, in my view, gets top marks. So well done BYD for the Binnacle. Yeah, so a lot of cars are doing a Binnacle now, which is good if not a dashboard. So I don't know why Tesla have resisted putting one in their most popular models, the 3 and the Y. I would have thought that it would be a no-brainer to do, but anyway, I'm glad they've got it on the Atto 3. So yeah, that concludes the 5 things which I love about the Atto 3. Do you own an Atto 3, and if so, what do you like about your car? I would look forward to hearing some feedback if there's other things which you may like, and I'm sure there'll be people who disagree with what I've said, but that's, you know, the world would be a boring place if everyone agreed about everything. But yeah, I think the Atto 3 overall is still a great package, and I'm still quite happy that I've got one. Alright, that concludes this episode. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe learned a little bit more about the Atto 3. Alright, take care out there, and we'll see you soon with another episode on Atto 3 Adventures. Bye for now.